All right, what's up, guys? I know this is like fairly soon after the patch, but I wanted to kind of give my thoughts and explain. Obviously, the biggest thing about this patch being the map changes, the map rotation. So, because I mean, I've had a ton of people ask me like, what do you think about the patch? What do you think about the map rotation? Just for starters, I don't like it. I'm just gonna be honest. I genuinely think this is probably one of the worst changes they've ever made to the game, and there are several reasons for this. One of them being that obviously, so just to start with, when I was talking about how I thought they would do this, I said they would either do it this way, where the maps so at the top right you see maps rotate in 3 minutes. So every 30 minutes the maps rotate. So right now it's Trio Goblin Caves, Duo Crypts, Solo Ruins. In 30 minutes it'll be Trio Crypts, Duo Ruins, and Solo Goblin Caves, and it'll just rotate clockwise like that. So every 30 minutes it changes. So I said they would either do this or they would keep like the default maps of Trio Crypts, Duo Ruins, Solo Caves, and then add in like a special queue that you could enter like Duo Crypts or Trio Caves or whatever like that outside of the normal. And obviously, I mean, I think that would have been more preferable. I don't like them adding more queues. However, I don't like this either. The biggest issue is, let's say you're let's say you're like a duos player, right? Let's say like, oh, I really want to play duos, but I don't want to play Goblin Caves. I hate the map because I think Goblin Caves is probably the biggest issue with the current map rotation. One of the biggest issues. Um, and yeah, let's say like so that's 30 minutes of time that you either are forced to play the map that you hate because you want to keep playing duos, or you have to play either solos or trios during that time. And this works for everything. Like, I'm a Crypts player, I'm a Trios player, it's what I do. And I don't even mind the other maps. Like, I don't mind Ruins. Trios Ruins is fine. I think it's like Ruins is made to be a Trios map, so it's fine supporting Trios and three-man squads. It's okay. So I don't mind playing three-man Ruins. It's not the worst. However, three-man Goblin Caves is a really, really big issue. Uh, and one of the main reasons that Goblin Caves specifically is such a big issue is whenever they added like trios and duos and solos to all these maps, is they didn't adjust anything about the maps themselves whenever they implemented it. So, for example, Goblin Caves, nothing has changed about the portals. There are still very few portals. They still spawn very far away. So to get 3 portals on Goblin Caves, you have to start taking them relatively early, or unless you get the static, and even then this playing around the static as a trio is not really reliable, right? uh then for crypts, the big thing for crypts is the bosses are not scaled to 1 or 2 players. So whenever crypts is on solos, you literally can't do the bosses for the most part unless you're a warlock or if you got Ghost King, because only warlock can do lich, and pretty much any class can do Ghost King, but it requires a certain amount of gear and you really have to know what you're doing. But you can't do warlord solo. Most classes can't do Lich solo, and doing Ghost King solo, while isn't impossible, isn't likely for most players. So that's pretty much irrelevant. So that's, you can go to hell and loot everything around there, but there's literally a boss you can't do. And then Ruins is fine. They didn't really like. There's nothing about Ruins that really matters, whether like the map count, like, or the amount of people on the map. So like Ruins, like I said, is relatively fine for this. But the biggest issues is Goblin Caves, the portals, and in Goblin Caves there are no res shrines. So it makes cleric even more mandatory because if somebody dies, cleric's the only thing that can res them. Otherwise, they're just dead for the run. And another really big issue with Goblin Caves, this is not including the apportation, but now Cave Troll can drop uniques. Because I'm pretty sure I haven't even seen Cyclops. I think Cyclops is like bugged; it's just not there or something. But Cave Troll can drop uniques, and like most solo players can be like, "Oh yeah, that's good." Like now we can get like the best gear. No, it's not good. And the reason it's not good is because, so just for example, I can go in Goblin Caves HR, I can kill Cave Troll, and I can be out of the map in about 5 minutes. Assume it's on a 30-minute rotation, I'm going to get about 5 to 6 Cave Trolls in if I'm fast. If I want to do a normal boss on Crypts, like say I want to kill a Lich or a Ghost King, that's about a 25 to 30-minute run for one chance at getting it. So we are literally, in Goblin Caves, you can literally do the boss almost 5 or 6 more times than you can in Crypts, with the chance of the exact same loot. And it is significantly easier, especially if if you have duos or trios in that map, because you can kill it even faster than you already were. So now there's something that is like, because Cave Troll is incredibly easy. Like literally anyone on any class can do Cave Troll by themselves in default gear, not hard at all. and you can get the best possible gear from it. I've already personally seen a Death Bloom and a Life After Death drop from it, so it's assumed that Cave Troll can drop every named item. There's no more like restrictions on it. So Goblin Caves now has the best loot, for like with the lowest effort, and it's just like so that's like, you know, that's one thing about it that's like that makes it good to play because of how easy it is to get this really OP loot. But the issue is it just doesn't support trios. It honestly barely supports duos. Duos isn't as bad, but trios on Goblin Caves just horrible. The layout and the map design just doesn't support it. And yeah, I know they said like, oh well, we're working on a larger Goblin Caves map. That's cool. I think that's great. But this shouldn't have been implemented in this Goblin Caves. It just doesn't work. If you're working on a bigger one, that's fine. Wait to implement it until you have the bigger map. That would be a lot better, because then it would actually wouldn't feel awful. Or at least do small map changes. Like add red shrines. Add, you know, more portal spawning, and give us a three-way escape on the last circle, like you do for the other maps. That'd be fine. That would work great. Crypts, rebalance the bosses around solo. Make them doable if you're gonna have solos on the map. It just like that, it just doesn't make sense. To me, this feels like something they wanted to do. They're like, hey, we're gonna implement this, but like we just really want to implement this, but we're not actually gonna change anything yet. This to me is like one of those things that they just throw in testing, and like we know this isn't ready and we know this isn't good, but we're just gonna put it in anyways. And normally I'm all for it, right? Early access game, trying things is good. The problem is, this isn't something like, you know, I compare this to whenever they add classes in that aren't finished, like Bard or Warlock. When they first released the class, you know, it was very unfinished. Like, okay, that's cool, that's unfinished content, but that's not something I'm forced to do. I'm not forced to play Bard. I'm not forced to play Warlock when it's not finished. I'm forced to play on these maps if I want to play what I want to play. If I want to play trios, like only trios, then I'm forced for 30 minutes of, you know, the rotation to play Goblin Caves on a map that does not support those trios, which is just, it sucks. Like, it's so, literally what I have to do, because I don't want to play that map, is for 30 minutes, I just have to go play duos or play solo, and just split up a 3-man, you know, to do that, and then we come back together after it rotates off Goblin Caves and play it, which is it. It's just, it's stupid. I don't like it. It's awful. And then, another thing, which doesn't have anything to do with the actual maps themselves, this is more of the rotation. They rotate, like you can see the timer in the top right. They rotate every 30 minutes. So if I actually like what's on the rotation, I literally get like 2 games of it in. Like, let's say it's on 3-man crypts, right? I can get at most 2 runs in if I go to hell. And that second run, I will like be queuing up. Like, I have to like jump out of my game and insta-queue because I have like a minute left before it resets. So like, even if there's something I really want to play, like, you know, let's say there's something different. Let's say there's duo crypts or trio ruins that I really want to play. I can only play it for 30 minutes before it rotates out. And, you know, this doesn't really matter that much for someone that plays a lot, because, you know, you're gonna have time on your map that you want to play. But imagine people that don't play that much. Imagine if they play like an hour or 2 a day at the most, and they hop on and there's just nothing they want to play, right? Like, they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, I really want to play some like 3-man crypts, go hell, do a boss, and they hop on and it just rotated off, and they have to wait an hour for it to get back to what they want to play. Well, they only had an hour to play, so now they can't. So now they're just not going to play the game probably, because that's what they want to do and they can't do it. And so overall, I think this change is absolutely awful. Like, genuinely, I think this is probably the worst change they've ever done, not including balance decisions. I think just overall for the game, this is one of those things in my mind could kill the game. I'm honestly curious. I'm gonna check the players, since there's any, like, and player base is still, like, you know, pretty steady. But I think if they leave this completely unaddressed, I think this is something that people would not like. Because the solos players love this, right? Solos players, they love it because they hate Goblin Caves. And I mean, who doesn't? Goblin Caves is the worst map in the game. I mean, I understand why they love it, because they get to play Ruins and Crypts solo and enjoy it. I love Crypts too. I want to play Crypts. But I can't all the time, which sucks. So literally, this rotation is just, you're pushing people onto the worst map, and everybody else that's not on that map at the time gets to enjoy the game. So there is just 30 minutes out of the rotation where a certain group of people just hate what they're playing if they want to play the game mode they want to play. And they haven't made an announcement about this or anything, so I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're planning on just letting this sit and deciding, but I genuinely think this is one of the worst changes they have ever made to this game. I mean, I'm sure like some of you would disagree with me. I've seen people say they love this change. However, I just do not like it. I think it is awful. I think, like I said, one of my main issues isn't even just the fact that like at some points I'm gonna be stuck on a map I don't want to play, because at any time there's something I can play. Like I just say, okay, well, I'm just not gonna play Goblin Caves right now because it's on, like, so I'm just not gonna ever play Goblin Caves. Just whatever it's on, if it's trio, solo, or duo, I just won't play. I'll only play Crypts and Ruins. I like those maps, but it's only a 30-minute rotation. So like I said, even if there's something I really want to play, like Duo Crypts, I think Duo Crypts is super fun. I love it. I was playing it last night. Duo Crypts is probably one of my favorite game modes right now, even maybe more so than Trio Crypts. But I only get it 30 minutes in a 90-minute cycle. If the timer were longer, like maybe 6 hours, 12 hours, even a day, that's like a day I get to play Duo Crypts, or, Trio Ruins, or whatever it may be that I get to enjoy myself. But no, like I said, it's just a 30-minute rotation, which is stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's just another one of those changes that they do that I feel like zero thought was put into it, and they just decided, like, we want to do this, we're going to do it, here it is, deal with it. And they're going to fix it later. And like I said, normally, I'm all for that. I'm all for them trying stuff, seeing how it works, and, just, like, doing that. Because, like I said, it's testing. It's a good thing to test. However, when it is something this big, this all-encompassing, that it forces every single person to participate, I don't think it's a good idea. Like, you should never be testing stuff at the expense of all of your players. But with that being said, I'm going to end the video there. So, feel free to leave your opinions and comments down below on what you think. If you enjoy it, if you don't, if you like it, love it, hate it, whatever it may be. Obviously, you know my opinion on it, so I'd like to hear yours. But yeah, until next time, peace.